but I make it from scratch and with bratwurst because I'm a fat kid.
Thank you. Folks, I love this.
Shocking.
Besides our dietary nutrition here, I'm gonna start the intro right now. So, hello and welcome to tonight's episode of Too Funny Feedback. My name is Lisa, and co-hosting the show with me tonight is Brooks because, well, Tom is getting his first dose of the vaccine, and yet he got home early. So efficient that he's going to be running tech for us this evening. Tonight, each of our comedians will be performing a 5-minute set. And after your set, Brooks and I will be giving about 5 minutes of feedback before moving on to the next comedian. While we invite discussion during your allotted time, we are consistently booked for the show. So if we don't have time to address your concerns, please follow us up with an email or on Facebook, and we'll be happy to go into more depth. To our audience, keep in mind as we get started that our intention is to help facilitate the growth of the comedians who come to us with varying levels of experience. Also, comedy is subjective. So you may not agree with us, and that is okay. Okay, and then, sorry, people are reaching out to me. Someone's saying that something's not okay. All right, we are learning on how to give feedback, good feedback too. So additionally, if the audience or comedians enjoy the show and want to support the stream, please consider making a donation while watching at district/comedy.live or following District Comedy platforms. The link to all of that can be found in the episode description. Finally, we have 2 special announcements. The first is in honor of District Comedy's 50th broadcast. Yes, an April Fool's Day. TB&J will be going from 6 to midnight. The second is Tom has handpicked some of the funniest people in District Comedy community for our first formal showcase. Fancy Mike, Friday, April 16th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you're one of the first people to buy a ticket, you get a special sexy discount because Tom loves people who can plan ahead. He does. And again, all the links you need are in the episode description. Now that I'm done reading that novel, let's get started. Please welcome our first comedian of the evening, and that's going to be Sandy Bernstein.
Woo! Well, thank you. Thank you. Yes, my name is Sandy Bernstein, and I am a proud member of the Barren Womb Club. That's right. I am childless by choice and loving it. I'm also divorced, and when I remarried, I made an upgrade. This one's an older model, but he's low mileage, low maintenance, and burns a lot less gas. Yeah, glad you like the fart joke. But speaking of old farts, I am 10 years younger, but I don't consider myself a trophy wife. I'm more of a geezer pleaser. At our age, 10 years is no big deal. As a matter of fact, my husband will probably outlive me because the men in his family go well into their 90s. Whereas mine, we're lucky if we make it to 75, thanks to cancer, dementia. I asked him if he'd be willing to change my diaper one day. And he said, I'll just cut you loose in the backyard and hose you down in the driveway once a week. It's like, if you get to be too much, I'll ship you out to the funny farm. You'll like that since you're a comedian. Well, you can see just how sentimental he is. So when he told me his heart skipped a beat, I was shocked. I thought he was professing his love. No, he was telling me he was going into AFib. Yeah, his Apple Watch thought he was having a heart attack, but instead of calling an ambulance, it started showing him ads for beta blockers. Oh, guys, so how are those New Year's resolutions coming, huh? Well, listen, I made a resolution to get more sleep, but my husband resented the snoring during sex. His favorite comedian is Bill Cosby. I thought he'd be more receptive. Wait, was that offensive? Oh, guys, well, speaking of offensive, I don't know if anybody here has ever had their significant other post inappropriate pictures on social media. Anybody? Am I the only freak here?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, I thought so. No, my husband was doing that, and I started to get negative comments. So I asked him to stop posting pictures of me eating dessert. Yeah, I mean, I told him I'd be less embarrassed with nudes or sex videos. And he said, sweetheart, why would I post videos of us having sex? That would be stupid. You look so much happier when you're eating. Oh, so anyway, I am a bad driver. I've been in so many accidents that I've replaced my business cards with copies of my insurance card. Yeah, I've had to replace those every few months. I mean, I was in good hands with Allstate until the good hands people washed me off their hands. Yeah, it took them less than 20 seconds. I don't think they even got through the first course of Happy Birthday. Yeah. I think Mayhem felt threatened and had me canceled. Then I was covered by Liberty Mutual, and their slogan is responsibility. What's your policy? Well, my policy got canceled. Yeah, because Liberty left me to drown in the Hudson. So now I'm in a better state with State Farm, and I could use a good neighbor because mine's been a real prick since I ran over his mailbox. Yeah. So I've had so many fender benders that my body shop considers me family. Not only do they send me Christmas cards, last year they made me the guest of honor at their holiday party. Yeah. They even named a painting bay in my honor for sending their 4 kids through college.
30 seconds.
Okay. I mean, who knew that, Bernstein's Boo Boo Bay could finance a Harvard education, at least in part. Yeah. So yesterday I ran over a children playing sign. Thank God there were no children playing. Well, I mean, they saw me and ran for their lives. I got to stop cutting through the park. This damn kids are everywhere, and it's a fine line between a road and a walking path. I mean, they really need to put the sign back up. It's been over a month since I ran over the last one.
That's time.
Well, anyway, guys, I got to go because to afford all these deductibles, I'm moonlighting now for Uber. They see nothing wrong with my driving. I never get any parking tickets. I know how to take care of those signs. Thanks. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So let me make sure, let's go back to gallery view in there. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Sandy. I've enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. I don't know, Brooks, do you want to go first or do you want me to just jump on in?
Yeah, just a couple of notes you can take as a grain of salt or whatnot. The non-sentimental line of like, do whatever, he's gonna ship me to a funny farm. For me, that did not translate as well. I've honestly never really heard the phrase funny. I've heard the phrase funny farm. I have no idea what it exactly means.
Oh, okay. Might be an age thing.
Yeah, but I have definitely heard, and I think this can kind of keep with the spirit of your joke, the classic line when our pet passes, ship me to a farm upstate. That might be a better way to kind of phrase that, and take these with a grain of salt and whatnot. And the eating dessert, going into the nudes, I'd be happier with nudes. I really like that. I think that is an absolutely brilliant twist onto that, on that type of joke style. I think you should roll into I'd be happier with nudes a little bit quicker instead of giving that pause.
Oh, okay.
And then finally, the Liberty, drown in the Hudson. The drown in the Hudson, you're from Silver Spring, grew up in Baltimore. It doesn't really have a connection to you. So I try to put like a different kind of spin for like getting rid of them or them dropping you or something. Like I was just jotting a quick down, like Liberty, set me free, or let me go, or something along those lines. Overall, though, I was really happy. I think you have very good, confident delivery in these jokes. I think you have a lot of really clever marriage jokes that I personally enjoy because I'm getting married soon myself. So,
congratulations, Mazel tov.
Thank you, thank you, and yeah, great job, Sandy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I'm glad. Thank you for joining us. I enjoyed a lot. That was fun. And I love it because and Desiree and John will hear this. They're like, it's gonna, their ears may bleed because I've heard it so many times. So POV, point of view. So I love that you have a very specific point of view and you really hone in on what you know and enjoy, like it's great. So just starting right into there, I'm gonna kind of go through this set as I wrote it all down. So barren womb, it took me, I didn't hear barren initially.
Uh-huh.
So I would just make sure because it's a word you want to hit. So a lot of things
Yeah.
we talk about just like word placement and word choice
Mhm.
because barren womb, like you're coming right in there and enjoying that. And so I liked, and then of course you started us off with like burns a lot less gas, bliss. We like a fart joke. And I like when you, I feel like you, and this is just something, and you let me know if this is true or not. You feel like you know this material really well. And it seems sort of like it has a rhythm you've sort of established, which is
Mhm.
good, but I like it. I think that I enjoyed when it kind of broke a little bit, when you were sort of like, oh, you enjoyed the fart joke kind of thing. It had a different rhythm to it because a lot of your stuff, which is fun, is that it's like it's a couple liners and it's tied. And I found that those are fun. And then when they were attached to like a longer theme, I thought that was very smart because it had a bigger payoff in the end. But
Mhm.
I know that you know this material really well. I can feel that and I enjoy that.
Mhm.
I would say looking at it as a little bit of making it a little bit more conversational than just like, I'm gonna tell this joke, but I'm changing. Not that it was like that, because there was a conversational thing. So I don't want to say because there's so many fun stuff, so much fun stuff about it. But I
Mhm.
want you to like to let it. It can be a little different, or play with the beats in some places. Some of the beats were brilliant, though, really worked really well. But I feel like sometimes when there's such a good rhythm, sometimes it actually helps us to break it once in a while to
Mhm.
so that we also catch up with you and the audience is with you. You're like, I still got you. You're, with me. Love
Mhm.
the geezer pleaser. This is something that came up that I thought was interesting. Cancer and dementia. And then
Mhm.
you went on, you didn't say a third thing, and that's a lovely comedy rule of three.
Oh yeah, that's
Show
true.
us something completely different. Does that
Ah,
make
okay.
sense? So that would be like, just throw into that. And it can be something really oddball. And that's like a place where you can change up the rhythm or, the word play, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, yeah. I need a third absurd there.
Yeah, you
For
can do
power
that.
threes, yeah.
Uh, what am I saying? I'm reading my own writing.
Yeah, because I felt like that was kind of like new, and I felt like there needed to be more of a joke in there. I felt like it went too long without a joke in that little section.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I feel like you have a lot of jokes packed into 5 minutes. It's really impressive. But I think you can have a little more air to it if you want. Like if you don't
Mhm.
get it, because it's as long as we're with you on the ride, we're gonna enjoy it.
Mhm.
And I enjoyed it when you had fun with us too, which you did the whole time. But like when you had a moment of, oh, the fart joke or this or that.
Mhm.
I know you have definite turns, like segues that are like this.
Mhm.
Um it wasn't they were good, but I think there's maybe other ways to just time just a little bit, like, oh, on this topic, or just like another little phrase to be like, we're taking a turn, that would
Right.
might be helpful. Because there's a lot of really good stuff. Nice. Okay, my favorite moment was the Bill Cosby joke, I think, because that was
That
so
was goddamn
it
brilliant.
was so unexpected in some ways, because it was like, oh, you went there, like you went there. It tied it into sort of, and I mean, I enjoyed that, and I think that's what I mean. Like, there's just sort of you have your very specific point of view, and then you surprise us, which we enjoy. That there's like a joke within the joke there.
Mhm.
Um, let me see. So the segues. The mayhem. I liked all this the different insurance stuff.
Mhm.
I would I mean, I would go in more specifics. I forgot the mayhem stuff isn't as known anymore. There's things like that. So
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that. So I was going to ask you about it. I mean, I think it worked fine without it.
it could, yeah, I think so. But also, even if you don't, like when you said liberty, 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 or you talk about State Farm, we all, even if we're not watching them recently, they were so everyone couldn't escape them, that we know them right away. If you go into a little bit further description or use the jingle or stuff
Uh-huh.
like that, if you still want to use that material, just so that we have that in, and it's like, oh, I remember that, kind of thing. Oh, let me see, we got this. I also have I liked the Bernstein like Boo Boo place, and how, who knows, you could fund a Harvard education. part growth. What I really enjoyed about all of that, and I think you can make it maybe just a little tighter, is getting to that Uber. I love that you brought it. I'm going to Uber now. I'm moonlighting. I love that end. I thought that was a really good way to finish that off. So I would say I would just look at some of the beats within the longer parts, like the insurance, like the car stuff. Maybe find ways to sort of change the beats a little bit of just making it more conversational. There's a great tactic of checking with your audience that a lot of these wonderful comedians do, of like, hey guys, how are you? What about this topic? And that might be an easier way to segue. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That sort of brings it in and keeps you present with all the stuff. That's what I have, really. Thank you. I hope that was helpful. Like
yeah.
It's all subjective. We're all here to just help each other, and you made us laugh. So thank you very, very much.
Oh, well, no, thank you. That was some great feedback, and trying to be more conversational and having more of a dialogue with the audience is something that I'm working on. So I appreciate your feedback in that regard.
Okay. Well, thank you. All right. So who do we have next? I have it. Yes. Thanks, Brooks. So we have, and I want to make sure I'm saying it right, because I'm someone whose name always gets hacked, because my name is Lisa, but is it Sonia or Sonia?
It is Sonia.
Sonia. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for checking. Yes, actually stand up because that's what we're doing. Oh, it's great to be here. It's great to see all of your faces. All of you. Yes. In case you're wondering, I'm about 5 foot tall, depending on my hair, or an extra large in the boys section at Target. It's really great when you're buying a Transformers shirt, but not so great when you're trying to buy a bra. I grew up in a really small town, and I was very sheltered, which I will be clear to you when I share some of a letter that I wrote to Hermione Granger when I was 12 years old. So I wrote, and this was like almost 20 something years ago, and almost to the day. So that is kind of wild. I said, "Dear Hermione, Adrian P. moved today. It was very sad. She was so nice to me. I promised to call, email, and write her by snail mail. You probably don't understand any of those terms because they are all Muggle terms." And the hyper Harry Potter fans listening right now are probably going, wait a minute, Hermione was brought up by Muggle parents, so she totally probably knew what snail mail was and all of that. So congratulations, you're even a bigger Harry Potter nerd than I am. Well done. I still, on with the letter, I still can't help wondering if I'm a witch. I mean, I know I'm 12, so I would have gotten a letter by now, but I keep hoping and hoping that maybe there was just a mistake and it couldn't get to me or something like that. And if I'm being honest, I'm still hoping that that letter might show up. There was some big mistake with owls, and any day now it's gonna get here. I know. Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. You know how unreliable owls can be. Oh, anyway, you were indeed, we'd love for you to come to Hogwarts. We know you're American and all, but you know, with Brexit, we haven't really been able to get children here, so we're expanding our territories. And anyway, welcome. So that letter was actually one of 3. I also wrote one to Ron and Harry. My classmates were busy having trying their first drugs and learning how to try them for the first time. I was writing letters to Harry Potter characters. When the DARE program came to my school, and for any of you that didn't get to experience the DARE program, it's the drug abuse resistance education, and they tell you not to do drugs. And anyway, I was like, yes, I will totally take this no drug pledge. I'm into it. They were like, yeah, we're not so worried about you. Just to give you the full picture, at this age, I had glasses and braces, and I was didn't know shaving my legs was a thing yet. I was like really, really cool, obviously. Obviously, as you can tell today. So when we had the sex talk in my school, like they take you into the big auditorium, you have the talk. And I was like, you know what, I will totally take the abstinence pledge. I am on board. And they were like, yeah, we're not so worried about you. And then the Model United Nations Club came to my school. I was like, yes, sign me up. Sounds perfect. They were like, you are exactly who we're looking for. I probably would have been, okay, awesome.
No, finish your joke.
Okay. Let's see. I probably would have been a theater kid, but the theater program got cut up from our town, and I really like to think it was a Footloose situation. Gathered in a big town hall meeting, and elders were like, this theater business is nonsense, putting ideas in their head. And then Kevin Bacon stands up and wins them all over. Actually, if you look at Psalm 23:34, everyone opens their Bibles. God says, and let them know the stage, and it will be good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. That was so much fun. So Brooks, Tom usually goes first, but if you want to mix it up, I'm okay with that too. So it's up to you.
I am finishing one note real quick, and now I'm done. Alrighty, so really, really funny. I enjoyed the lean-ins into some of the nerd humor stuff. I think we give a little bit more time between Transformer shirt and bra, because both of those are pretty funny lines. Like, that's really great if I'm trying to buy a Transformer shirt. That's going to get a laugh at a lot of people. I think that's really, really funny because you lean into like, oh, I'm a child's medium or something. And then not good when you're trying to buy a bra, which gets in like this really funny self-deprecating humor stuff. I do think that's a really brilliant joke. Just play a little bit with the timing on that. I also think you have a little bit more room to play with some different like quips after. I know that those are Muggle things, but I think you have like a little bit more time to like kind of play with some of the quips. Like, now I know what all of you guys are thinking, because the implication is like, oh, I'm going into really deep, dark Harry Potter shit, but then kind of the twist, not dark Harry Potter shit, but then the twist is like, you already know about everything that I'm saying. You know that this is objectively ridiculous. She was raised by humans or whatever. This next one, though, is going to quasi-contradict what I just said. Take it again as you will. After that, I think you lean really into Harry Potter lore. And I stopped reading after the 5th book because my favorite character died, but like, and I stopped watching after the 2nd movie because of whatever. But I don't know. What I think you could maybe do with that is maybe kind of expand it into like some just general fantasy trope nonsense and see if that takes it to you. If you get into that and you find out it really hurts the joke, like, you can always reset it back to where it was. But that may potentially kind of expand out the audience of folks who might get that. I really liked your material of like being the innocent, sheltered kid on in your middle school, and just some potential ideas for you to pitch when they go, "We're not worried about you." You can either lean into they actually want to worry about you more, like go and corrupt you, like we want you to take these drugs. Or you can go the other way and focus on the kids they are worried about. Like Tommy's only 12 and he has a motorcycle. That's who we're worried about. And then finally, you can keep it if you want to, you can project the idea if you want to stay accurate to what your middle school experience was, or you can keep it if you want to play with the potential bit, because artistic license and everything we say is alive for comedic effect. Maybe go into, I wasn't cool enough to get into the Model UN. Model UN fucks. We got the French girls here. So I really enjoyed, I think my favorite stuff that you did though was like the awkward middle school years, because I identified with that so much, where I was like the weird nerdy kid who they weren't worried about, and they were like, maybe you should go drink. I say drinking. It took. But great job, Sonia. Thank you.
Sonia, yeah, thank you. I really enjoyed that. So I loved so much of this because I think there's so much fun to play with characters. And my background, if you know, is more theater based. So I owe a lot of people money for those degrees. So basically, I really enjoyed that. I loved the depending on my hair. I liked how you took everyone in the beginning, and you really like said hi and were very present. I do love the Target, the extra large. And like, I do think there is more, and I agree with Brooks, to mine there about in that joke of like the Transformer t-shirt. Cause we all know the Transformer t-shirts. We know, we can picture that part of Target and the boy t-shirt aisle. And then you're like, hard to get a bra. And you can even be like, like I tried a bra. They're like, there are bras for 13-year-old people there, I'm sure. So like, you know, you'd be like underwired, just not enough or something, you know, you can make a comment, you can have a little fun with that and lean into that, I would say. Now I love the whole Hermione Granger. So during all of this, it was funny because as I was writing things down, you started doing more. I was like, oh yay, a character, bring out the letter or make a prop letter. Like maybe there's glitter in it. Everyone fucking hates glitter in a letter. So just gonna say that. So basically like, this is, if you're gonna embrace characters, I want you to, I think, especially if you wanna invite you back, of course, but like, if you wanna commit to like, let's do it. Let's have some fun. Do you get a sorting hat on? Or you suddenly out with like a wand, like, and it could be your homemade, like if you're going for that, like, as you lean into that sort of geeky or, you know, a nervous kid as a middle schooler who wrote this, embrace it, have fun with it. You can make fun of yourself with a prop, essentially. Like you can be like, this is, you know, whatever it is. I mean, you can make it the most ridiculous type of wand or a hat, or even if it's not even, it just says like Hogwarts on it and it's like a beret, whatever. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like you can play against that even adds to that sort of awkward middle schooler. So I would say, and with the character with Hermione, now she doesn't have to be far from perfect, but have fun with that accent if you want. Like, and I have accent stuff. Like you want to reach out to me, I will give you a bunch of accent. Like you can be coconut, you can do whatever you want. Like you could be just off about it. Like that was my Hermione. And I love that you were like, congrats to all of you. Yes, you're bigger nerds to me. Take a moment like that. But when I would say with the whole, when she comes in, this, I think you can do this with several places, but you're establishing this sort of thing in your act is when you go out and you come back as Hermione, you can even be like, wait, hold on, like, wait a minute. You know, you can make it more dramatic. I feel you can make it a very succinct, like change and come back. And suddenly if you have a prop or you have something and you're doing your Hermione and then you leave and you're like, yeah, hey, you know, like that creates humor in it too. I think you can get to play with it and be dramatic. You know what I mean? If you want, and see how far you can go. And then obviously if it's not working, you can pull it back. I always say with any sort of with acting, go bigger. It's easier for someone to commit big and pull back versus like pulling it out, especially with comedy. It's hard. I mean, comedy is vulnerable enough. You're already making bold choices. So let's do it. That's my recommendation. So you can also do with Ron and Harry, you can go into that, but the characters, well, we're not worried about you. Well, there's an opportunity to do the people who are saying, well, we're not worried about you. There's a whole character in that. How do they say that to you? How do they do that? You kind of use that with the Footloose thing, which I loved. I was a theater kid, could you tell? So basically like have that fun. And then Model UN, I'm going to ask this of everyone here. Everyone knows what Model UN is? Is everyone familiar with Model UN? Because that's something I wasn't sure with our educational system. I wasn't sure if that's still a thing.
It's on The Simpsons.
What?
It's a Simpsons reference a bit. The Simpsons has a Model UN.
Yeah, the model about all the countries, like the kids represent the countries and they all like debate. And yes, you could also pick a country that might, like, certain countries wouldn't have me. But like, as I would say, Desiree, like Canada might have taken you. They're nice. Except for Toronto is the meanest city in Canada, I've learned. So, but things like that, you know, like, I don't know, would Ireland take her, John? Shouldn't drink enough? I don't know.
It strikes me more as a Liechtenstein.
You know, you have a whole set list there, and I know I'm going way over, so I apologize. You got me character thinking. So, but like, and then the Footloose, embrace that and read that, and you can close the book and say thank you at the end. So that's what I would say. Go big and have fun.
Thank you so much.
It was a lot of fun. It gave me lots of ideas. It was just, I think there's a lot to mine there. So thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So, okay, I get to introduce the next thing. I'm sorry. I'm so used to Tom just going through. So we have, thank you so much. Sean Power is not coming to you from a Pittsburgh basement in Pittsburgh. He is not in Pittsburgh. He's not from Pittsburgh. And I'm so glad he's here. So take it away, Sean.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy that that's my credit. Sonia, this isn't part of my set. My neighbor growing up as a kid got a restraining order from Emma Watson because I live in Minnesota and we have the Mall of America, and she was visiting, and he wrote a creepy enough letter to get a restraining order. It didn't help that he was like 38. So that was kind of weird, but the restraining order was delivered by an owl. So there's that. Growing up, being a little brother really shaped my personality because I always had to fight for attention in my family. The oldest was always the best in both sports and academics. The middle was cool, the rebel, did drugs. So there wasn't much left for me to do except become the best at harder drugs. Now, Brooks, I'm calling you out because I've actually been sober for 284 days today.
Gross.
But I have little brother energy, which means you're proud of me, but it's rooted in pity. But can I have my own privileged pity party? Because pity points are still points. Kind of like being a charity case helps you save money on your taxes. or the people that hang out with me to feel empowered just for my last name. Now I'm getting pretty fucking sick of people saying like, oh, Sean Powers, well, what are your powers? So I've decided to double down on my sarcasm and just like, well, as a straight white male, my powers to ruin everything I touch. And as a little brother whose pride is rooted in pity, it's to make everyone a little bit sad that I'm around.
Yeah.
Now, as a teacher, I've perfected the art of the empathy face. Now, the empathy face is when you're talking to someone and like there's some students that are like, "Wow, great job," and I generally mean it. But then there's the "aw, you did it. You accomplished something." Like there are students with the make them proud energy, but there's others with the make a wish. I told you I was going to make you a little sad that I was around. Now, the good thing about being a little brother is that you can get away with stuff. Like I always knew when to turn my charm on, or my personality is kind of like bordering and faltering between pathetic and likable. But I always knew like how to seek out someone so that I would just like nuzzle under their wing so they could take me to success. Kind of like the hobbits outside of the Shire in the Lord of the Rings movies, Or Sonia, like Dobby from Harry Potter. And as a little brother, I hate hand-me-downs, but as Dobby, I just want to be free. Now, I got a lot of that empathy face from my teachers growing up, especially in foreign languages, because I was not good at them. For example, my sophomore year in high school, I got kicked out of my Spanish class. And the teacher was like, look, Sean, we really enjoy having you in class, but you're not going to make it past our colors unit.
Oh no.
And I promise, if you work hard, I'll give you a C and pass you. So I was like, C. But she was like, you have to promise never to take Spanish again. I was like, all right. But in college, I had to take a foreign language in order to get my major. So I'm a man of my word. So I decided to pick Italian. And the study abroad office came by and said, you could finish your language requirement by studying abroad. No joke, my second day, the teacher pulls me aside and says, Sean, you're really fun to have on this trip. But as long as you work hard, I'll give you a C and pass you, but you can never come back to Italy again. Ever. But for me, learning Spanish would have come in handy because I lived in Latin America for 6 years, 3 in Guatemala and 3 in Colombia, which didn't actually help with my Spanish. It kind of made me more of a snob. Like I'll turn my nose up at terrible coffee and I only put it down for quality cocaine. But the Spanish would have come in handy a lot of the time, especially my friends and I decided to road trip across Central America and we were stopped by the cartel. Now, it was this insanely tense moment. All these people were gathered in this car in front of us. They had the professional face masks, the tattoos, the AK-47s. And my friend turns to me and he's like, look, we're going to pass the car. We're going to do it stealth. Like I'm just going to drive by. And as we're passing, I made eye contact with someone and he had this bucket on his head, like a real bucket with 2 holes cut out of his eyes. And I was like, how did he get the bucket? Where they was like the leader of the cartel, like handing out face masks. And he's like, venga, venga. Ooh, lo siento, Efe. What they say. The early bird doesn't get the bucket. Or was he like,
time, by the way.
Is that my time? Oh no. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I forgot to give you a light.
That was great. Thank you. Thank you. I just love how you switched locations on me from this time to last time. All right, Brooks, are you ready?
Yeah. So first off, I think you are really good at crowd work, incorporating other people's like kind of jokes and bits is like really fun callbacks. So thank you. And actually the first thing I wrote down is you really should incorporate that restraining order Emma Watson story as like an actual bit. Like, I don't know, it's all about some weird kid you knew growing up. Like that's genuinely hilarious. Especially with the like little quip you added at the end. Like we all know that even the most moderate fan knows like, okay, there's owls in Harry Potter, they deliver the lines, but like I thought that was really good, a really good fallback. Desiree, it's 5 minutes, by the way.
Okay.
One of the big examples that I kind of saw that I think can maybe help push forward some of your stuff is you do these really good setups that are still kind of funny, but incorporate things like, I'm a straight white male, I ruin everything I touch. What do you ruin? What's like something innocent that you've ruined, even if you just make a thing up? It just kind of adds it. You can either do like 1, you can do the rule of 3, whatever you want to do. Same thing with like the Make-A-Wish students. Like, oh, give the empathy test. Like, yeah, you did write your name in the 5th grade. Take that as you will. Last one, this is kind of a structure thing. Maybe like just kind of an order stuff. I really love your foreign language jokes. And like the Latin America story, that's really funny. Take that I'm banned from Italy story and put that on the end. Because that is a really funny closing line. And it flows a little bit better from like your bad Latin America or your bad like Spanish stories to your going into Latin America stories. I think like the flow of that works a lot better. Even if the timeline's not accurate, who cares? We're telling jokes. We can use poetic license to do any of this. But I really thought like that you're doing your best, but don't come to Italy again is just a perfect like closing line for that series of jokes. And great job, man. I'm sorry we had to cut you off a little early.
No, sorry. Thank you so much, Brooks.
So I really enjoyed that set. That was fun. I also, I really do. I love that and this is a perfect example for, I know, because Desiree and John, I think people familiar with, have been on here mostly, that an example of how much our background can change the feel of your set almost. Because not saying like last time, I almost didn't recognize, I was like, that's Sean, because you had like the hat and you were in a different environment. It's really interesting to me. I feel like it demonstrates how a background sort of like sets a tone. It helps set the tone for how you're gonna be interacting with everyone. You know what I mean? Sort of, because you get to create the environment. So you get to create that tone with them. So I enjoyed that. It was really cool to see that. I like the mic. I like how it grounds you. I think you used it really well during the set. I know some people like it, some people don't. And the thing about it, the great thing is that you get to choose everything you do in this little world versus when when we're back and mingling amongst the people, you have a mic and a stage and this, and that's what you respond. You don't have as much room. Like this is a lot of, that's why I talk about POV so much, is because you really are in charge of it. Not in a way in any other setting right now with comedy as a stand-up. So I say take full advantage. I really love the setup. I love that you started with the whole thing with the Harry Potter. And this is something too, we're talking about here, like Harry Potter is one of those universal things. You don't have to read all the books, Brooks, though I think you should. Is that, it's as universal, everyone knows it, even if they never read it. It was like so in their face. So I enjoyed it, but it's one of those things that sticks around. And I really loved the setup about the siblings and how you built that. And I was the one that it left me to do the harder drugs. I thought that was fantastic. And even if it was unintentional later on when you talked about like in quality cocaine, it made me think of that earlier joke. I don't know if that was an intended thing, but it was great. It all ties in. I love your word choice, the pity party, like that's funny. Just saying it. And you delivered it really well. And the whole powers thing is nice. So I will say probably my favorite moment was about the straight part of it was the straight white male. And I do think you're like, you can just state like something that was my fault or how you use the powers. I like that suggestion from Brooks. The empathy look. This is one of my things that I would suggest is that you can take more time with the look. Like establishing the look. Like and being like, you could even comment like, do you feel I'm listening to you? Like you can say that to all of us. Feel it, like you could comment, like really establish that and have that moment so that you can make that a thing. It's kind of fun. You can play with that as much as you
can't because I hate that look so much. I put that in there because I'm so sick of teachers doing that to me. Just like, oh.
Right. But that's the thing is that others, yeah, that was more the beat with it. Like I would say you could take that much more time, it's the truth.
I can't do it because I'm a sociopath.
Say Bryce, Dobie, I liked all that stuff, bringing it back in. The colors unit, the C. I agree. I feel like with you can do all of that at the end. That's a good suggestion, Brooks. I like that one. I liked the quality cocaine, but the bucket story. I want to know more. And I loved how we talked about character work. FA, like you did you can even have more fun with that. Or like the guy in the bucket, what does he say? To respond, like you can have a lot of fun with that. And then with your environment and using the mic, however you want to, you could create a dialogue with that. So that's just something to play with. I think you had a really great pace with this, a really good comfortability. I'd say, maybe move a few of those pieces around and take more time with those fun character moments. But in general, I thought that was a really tight set.
Yeah, bro.
Thank you.
All right. Another time for Sean. Yes.
Woo!
Okay. So we are on to, let me see. I got to look at my own list. It's John. John coming to us from the land of Lucky Charms. Thank you. San Francisco tonight. Here we are,
Absolutely.
John. Take it away.
Hello, everybody. How are you, America and Canada? and Minnesota. Good to be
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Um, have you ever wondered why it's so much easier being negative than positive? Do you know what I mean? Like being happy takes real work. Like you got to try really hard. I think it feels like a sweater you're forced to wear, like a poorly fit one. It just doesn't sit right. But sadness is bespoke. It's fucking tailor made. As soon as you try on a bit of sadness, you're like, what's that material? I'm never taking this off. God, I'm so lonely. Amazing. We enjoy being miserable more than being happy. You got to do so much to be happy, right? You got to do affirmations. You know affirmations? Where you lie to yourself and then fucking nothing changes. You got to exercise. You got to look pathetic with your chicken legs and poverty shorts and disgraceful form. And then you got to diet so people want to fuck you. So you're eating dust and grass and leaves to be 8% thinner than people with friends. You got to go to therapy to reconcile childhood wounds. But really, you're just so self-involved. You pay people to listen to you for an hour. Then you got to become interesting so people invite you places. So many things to be happy. But being unhappy, effortless. You know? One day you stub your toe, the next you're screaming abuse at the TV, talking about how eugenics wasn't given a fair shake. It was misunderstood. You know, we've all been there, right? I was thinking, right, COVID's been getting a bit boring, hasn't it? It's all we talk about. If COVID was a movie, it would be a bad one. Like... It's like a boring zombie apocalypse with no fucking ending. It's like we need a distraction. I think we need a distraction. I'm thinking asteroid. That would change up the It would change up the conversations. Did you get your vaccination yet? Vaccination? There's a debt rock coming from space. Don't you read? They're just theories. I might be wrong. My dad was talking to me earlier today. It was nice chatting to my dad. And he said, like, John, you're really lucky to have your girlfriend over lockdown. And I was like, I know. And then he said, you're so lucky. And I said, thanks, Dad. And then he said, you're the luckiest guy in the world. And I was like, all right, Dad. And then he said, I don't think you realize how lucky you are to have her. And I was like, okay, this has turned into an insult gradually. What's next? Like, she deserves so much better. You're a real piece of shit, John. You know, it was trending that way. What's he heard exactly? He seems to know something I don't. This is all vaguely upsetting. I want to talk about. My brother's getting married soon, which is a mistake probably, but I statistically it doesn't. And I don't want to go because I just don't want to go. I got to get tests and so I've been thinking about fun ways to ruin a wedding. Just any wedding. That could be anyone's wedding. So you can add to these if you want. These are just my suggestions. One way to ruin a wedding would be to go up to the groom and whisper. You'll find out soon enough. Or you could go up to the bride and say, so everyone's noticed. Or you could bring a megaphone into reception and talk about people behind their backs. That could be fun. Or if you're making a speech, make sure to go off on a tangent about why we need to lower the age of consent. Or you could also sing a rendition of your cheat art while maintaining a knowing eye contact with the bride. Or my favorite one is just during the wedding ceremony, watch a telenovela loudly on your phone because, quote, it's more interesting than this shit. Anyway, guys, that's all I wanted to do tonight. Thanks again for having me, District Comedy.
All right, man, that was really good. That was a really tight set of materials. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite lines just right from the beginning was bespoke sadness, like, oh, this feels so good. I'm never taking this off. That's bloody brilliant. Two minor suggestions, because I'm a hack and a fraud. One of the things was if COVID was a movie, it would be a bad one.
Yeah.
Pick a movie
I know,
that
I-
was objectively
I'm just
bad,
too-
but that everybody watched and kept talking about?
Do I
Like
have to-
Avatar.
yeah, that's a good suggestion. Yeah, that is. I was just being lazy, and I was like, what if I just didn't think of a movie and just tried to get away with it?
I
Didn't
mean, it's
work
still
really.
funny. It's still funny.
No,
Like
no,
I think the joke
no.
even lands if you just like do a generic look. It would be a bad
Mm.
one, but that
Yeah,
might
yeah.
just be something to play
Yeah,
around
it could be
with.
better. I think you're right. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Yeah, a very popular, but yeah, that's a good suggestion.
Transformers
Um,
can never transform. I don't know.
And then the second one, like the married brother joke, which I think is a mistake, or not the joke, but like the brothers getting married, which I think is a mistake. That might be a good time to like tie it back into your previous like series of jokes where it's like your dad comments
Yeah.
on how lucky you are to be with your partner. You're like, I mean, like, which I think is a mistake. I mean, he's lucky to have her, or something.
Oh
along.
yeah. Oh, that's a really good suggestion. Yeah,
Like a
that's
quick
very good.
callback might
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
boost it, but otherwise, man, I thought that was a really great set. So.
Thanks, Brooks. Appreciate it.
It was a good set. I liked it. I made me think because you had this great. I had a theme of lists actually. So I don't know if it was like a thing that you were kept doing, but it was really clever and it worked. I love how you just started with a question. I think you're really good at engaging in Zoom to just. You have a great way of just saying, "Hey," and we all are with you, and and it's the conversational piece of checking in and asking us and giving us time to respond and being in the moment. I think that's just a strength of yours that we've seen through if people been like John's been at pretty much almost every one of these. So like it's been fun to like see all the different developments and different jokes and how it's coming. And I really enjoyed this this set. So yes, sadness is bespoke is a wonderful phrase and it's word choice. It's so amazing how one word can really just nail that joke. God, I'm so lonely because also it's like you're doing it and you're doing self-deprecation all at the same time, so it's really wonderful back and forth. What is I'm looking at my own writing and I can't read it. I love the list of just like it takes so much effort to be happy and the list of affirmations that you lie to yourself and nothing fucking changes. Yes, it's just like truth. And I think it's funny because all this leads into like COVID, because basically this is what we've all been doing for the last freaking year and trying to be happy when like loneliness is really what's been easiest to embrace or sadness. But I thought you did a really great job of that list because lists are hard and keeping it interesting and keeping it going. So you nailed that really well. Of the list, COVID is about getting boring. I love that idea of the movie, title the movie. Make it something like Avatar, and then give it your own like subtitle to it.
No, because it gives you a whole
People do die and nothing good happens. I don't know, like
if
or
you pick the right movie. Yeah, sorry to cut across you, but I'm just agreeing with you. Like and Brooks as well. Like if you pick the right movie, then you could have a whole other 2 or 3 tags if it mirrored it perfectly.
Yeah.
That's a really good suggestion.
Definitely. Transformers, they don't transform, and
Yeah.
So like it just I really like, and what I noticed performance wise is when you were like COVID's gotten bored, you did this great thing of just very small thing, you leaned in.
I know. I got a standing desk. I'm overjoyed.
It's a really smart move that was newer because usually I think with your background is you're in your apartment, so it had me focus just on where you are. And I will say sometimes you came in and out. Those virtual backgrounds can be your friend and sometimes not. But if you have a green screen up or just put green construction paper, it will stick a little bit better. But you just leaning into that one moment and coming back created like an intimacy with us and creates a different dynamic. And that so like it was a really simple move, but it was very effective. And you did it a few times, and also the asteroids. And I said, and you're like, my theories could be wrong. It's just a theory. I like that. So you have this great way of coming at us, creating an intimate moment, asking us a question, and then throwing it away and be like, blah, blah, blah. It creates a nice rhythm. Fun way to ruin a wedding, the list. I loved all that. I don't know. I feel like you can have more fun with it and like listing them because you did like what 5 or 6. So like the comedy rule 3, you can still like keep changing it up and just feeling what the flow you want of that if it goes up and it goes down and then hits at the top and then you leave it.
I feel like the 6 might be a bit. I think I did 6. I think it might be a bit long. I think it's hard to keep that kind of rhythm going unless I need to segue more like with like I keep to maybe reintroduce the premise so people kind of stick with it. I'm not sure. It seems like it might be a bit much. Maybe reduce it to the 3 best ones or something.
Or 3, or even 3 and then the 4, like you surprise us.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah, that's a good. I
to
think
under
that's-
that, I think that would be
that-
would be
I think
great.
that makes
Figure
sense,
out
yeah.
some of your favorite ones, but I just thought that was a really fun and good way to just a great list way. And I wanted to point out that whole little move that you did back and forth. Oh, this is something that I thought of. I don't know if your joke was going. I mean, I enjoyed it, but your dad kept saying you're really lucky.
Yeah.
I thought he meant like he liked her. Like initially, I was
Oh,
like, I
yeah,
thought he was
yeah.
into her. So there's another
I
way to
know,
go with
I
that. I
was-
wasn't sure. That's
yeah,
where my
yeah.
brain went.
I-
Maybe because I was a female, males are like, oh, you're really
No.
like. So there's
Yeah.
different ways you can go with that joke. It works both ways. But initially, I thought I was
Yeah.
like, oh, your dad wants to be with your girlfriend, or no, maybe that's not
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah,
so
I think-
that's where my brain went initially.
Yeah, I think I can add that in as a secondary kind of thing, because I thought of that too as I was writing, and I was like, oh, the crowd are probably going to think that I'm going that way with it,
Mhm.
and then I was like, I'll try it this way first and see if it works, and then if not, I can try it. So I think that's a good suggestion. Like I could be like, or maybe, and then I could kind of go into another little bit with that.
I think doing both of them would work pretty well because they're both pretty funny punchlines for that like kind of setup.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you,
Yeah, I
John.
think so. Cheers. Thanks again for having me. It was so much fun.
yeah, brother.
Desiree, last but not least, our friendly friend from Canada. That's really
Just before I start, this is part of my time, don't worry. I have a corporate gig tomorrow and on Thursday. So I'm gonna do some of my old material, but I'm gonna try to make it less about drugs because I'm not sure if that's like corporate. Although weed is legal in Ontario where I live. I'm Canadian. It's legal all over the country. Yeah, that's again not a joke, more of a humble brag. I'm Canadian. Weed is legal over here. You guys are missing out. Yeah. So in addition to being Canadian, I am also disabled. I just didn't want anybody thinking I was doing like very specific, edgy material on like disability and society as like an able-bodied white woman. I have noticed society treats the disabled different, and I have a hot take. No, it is my real life, and it's going pretty good. I actually like the quarantine. I know that's a little bit odd to say, but I like it because none of you walkies touch me when I'm out anymore. Yeah, because in the before times, apparently I look like a shopping cart that needs to be returned to Walmart to you. Yeah. For anyone who might be wondering, a walkie is the politically incorrect term for able-bodied. I also like quarantine because I no longer have to hear people's stories about their friends in wheelchairs when I'm at the grocery store. Because in the before times, it was just like, that's really cool to hear about your friend Mark, but I don't have any wheelchair basketball information. Also, it is midnight at a grocery store, and I am buying 4 types of cheese in Garfield PJs and Ugg boots. I am not winning at this thing called life. I am not here to answer your questions. I am not disabled Google. Yeah. Before quarantine, I was lucky enough to go on a date. Yeah. It wasn't a date so much as it was a man sat down beside me in Starbucks and asked if I had any wheelchair basketball information for his friend Mark. But I needed a win, so we're gonna call that a date. And myself and this man got to talking about disability and the media. Because I don't like small talk. None of this has the weather. And I told this man that I wished the media understood that people with disabilities do more than go to the bank and die. And now I'm going to tell you what I do during the day when I'm not screaming at my computer. I work in a bank. I am the problem. I am a living stereotype. For those of you who may not be aware, in Canada, banks have really good equity programs. So they hire a lot of disabled people, and we are heavily featured in their media campaigns. Yeah. The best jokes are the ones you have to explain. Yeah. If you're not given a 9-minute TED talk after every punchline, you're really doing it wrong. Don't ask any other comedians. I am right. I like working at the bank. It's fun. People are always like, "Oh, a career in finance, that must be so hard." It's actually not. All you got to do is show up on time with a clean shirt and not touch anyone's bum. The pandemic has made that considerably easier since I live alone and also work from home now. I also like the bank because it's very politically correct. And I know people kind of poo-poo political correctness, but I like it because for 8 hours, none of you walkies ask me questions about wheelchair. And let me tell you, walkies, you are some nosy people. So I appreciate the peace and quiet. Yeah, it does make it hard to make friends and form meaningful relationships. I had a coworker in the before times who I think wanted to ask if I was single, but did not want to get in trouble. So he chose his words very carefully and said this: "So you've given up on men completely?" And I guess that's what I get for wearing a bathrobe and Crocs on Casual Friday. And the box of wine for lunch probably didn't help. Thank you. That's my time.
Great set as always, Desiree. Quick question: Is your corporate show tomorrow? Is the corporate company based in the U.S. or Toronto or Canada?
It's Canada.
Because if it was based in the U.S., do that humble brag joke. That's like.
Yeah. I'm probably not going to announce to a room of Canadians that I am also Canadian, but I could see how that goes.
Just do it. Just maybe they're not aware. The shopping, the one joke where like walkies keep touching me. An idea I had maybe is be like, I'm not a shopping cart. You don't need to return me to the Walmart.
Oh, that would work. Yeah.
And I really liked your I don't like small talk on the date episode, on the date joke. Like that's beautiful. I really like that addition to that joke you made. So that's all I really got, dude. You're hilarious.
Okay. So normally in that joke, I would say, in the grocery store joke, I would say I'm buying 4 types of cheese and Garfield PJs. I am obviously high. Please leave me alone. And then I say I'm not disabled Google unless I have acid. Is it still funny without the drug references?
I still think it's funny.
Yeah.
Like I'm not winning. I'm not doing well in life. I think is always like a really funny punchline for when you're in a place in public with Garfield.
Okay. Because I'm a little bit afraid to make like drug references and
think that's
swear. So I just thought like, is that an equally funny punchline?
I think that's really funny. Or you can do like, I don't make good decisions or something like that.
Yeah.
But I still think the setup and the punchline works. Like it's really
good. That's what I was worried about.
No, it was really good. I loved it because you've also been with us from the beginning, Desiree. That was all material I hadn't heard yet.
Oh, really?
The Wookiees term was, but it's funny because when you said walkies and I am a Star Wars geek, I was like, Wookiees? Like Wookiees? We're Wookiees? Yeah. We could be Wookiees. But I really thought it was, I loved how you came into it with the humble brag. I always love when you do that. And yes, you probably wouldn't announce to them that you're Canadian when you're, but made me laugh. But I really liked hot take on this and how you introduced, that you have that you are in a wheelchair and just like, I loved all of that. I love how you introduced that. I always
Okay.
say that you have great ways of doing that, and you have many ways of doing that. So that was another way that I thought that was really good.
Okay.
The walkie's nice touch about, and like explaining it a little bit, the politically incorrect. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
The shopping cart to Walmart's wonderful. And I do think that that was a Brooke's suggestion of like making it like that they're pushing you to that way.
Yeah, because that's what that is people
Mhm.
touch me when I'm out. And I don't
And
like it.
I love, okay, what and the disabled Google thing, which was fun,
Yeah.
is that you could go more into like disabled Google, like not that you say on acid, but you could give an example of like what a disabled, would be, Google would be possibly, if that's something, if you want to mine a joke there, it still works
Yeah.
completely, but it just was a thought. But I loved how you talked about, I don't have any tips for your friend Mark about like wheelchair basketball, but and then I wanted a date and it was about his friend Mark. That was awesome because I didn't expect that. And I thought that was just so clever. The way you just flipped, it was like flipping a coin. And it was just like, oh, another joke. It's amazing. Like it all tied in.
Yeah.
I thank you for explaining about for Americans about the bank sort of thing. I think that this is a really good example of you taking something that we may not all know about and explaining to us in a way that is inviting and funny, if that makes sense. It's a form of attracting from your set. It enhances it.
Yeah.
I think that's great. And that you have that still self-deprecating of like, if you don't do a TED talk, the best jokes, the ones you explain. If you don't do a 10-minute TED talk after it, what are you doing? I love you said, don't ask other comedians. I am right. So, and that's what I say. I love your demeanor is very like jovial and fun and kind of like, I would be like, I won't ask other comedians. You're right.
You shouldn't, because I am right.
You're right. I love the whole thing, the clean shirt and don't touch other people's bums. And now that you're home, I thought, now do you only touch your bum? I don't know if you want to bring the bum as a funny concept and the idea of you're like, and there's only one bum I touch now. You use your mouth, whatever. Like, that's it. But I was saying, walkie, let me realize, bum thing. What does it say? Walkies put in, I'm sorry, I can't even read my own writing. Yeah, I don't even know. But I loved the one thing that was hard for me to hear that I think it just take it down because with the microphone when you say, have you given up on men? So be aware of that. Not that I love the voice and the intonation of how you did it, but it became a little bit more about the mic being on at that level or, for a voice.
That is good to know.
Yeah, it made it, I mean, I still heard it, but I think it impact a little bit because I was like, just about that. You guys giving up on men. I thought that was really funny. And I know your time was up, but just let it giving that last, even if the time is up, giving yourself a moment to say that last bit and so thank you. That was a lot of fun. That was it. So another round, yay to everyone tonight for participating in Brooks. So I want to say a big thank you to my co-host Brooks, to the comedians for being so open to feedback, and of course to our awesome audience. Again, if you want to support the stream, you can do so at district-comedy.live or hit that share, like, subscribe button. And if you want to be on the show, you can sign up using the link in the episode description. And so we're going to see you guys next week, and I hope you have a great night.
Ooh.